hard to know what will happen with Nipah. So answering the question in two parts. First, Nipah can cause respiratory disease, and when you have the chance of respiratory disease where someone can spread it from secretions usually, so someone coughs into their hand or there's saliva or something, if someone is ill, then there's a chance for transmission. And once you've got that type of transmission event, which is obviously quite different, let's just take as another example, say a mosquito-transmitted infection where a person is not going to transmit it to another person. That's quite a different situation. So when you've got that type of respiratory secretion, that presents a risk. And if the virus was to adapt, so viruses are able to propagate very efficiently. Typically, they can make many, many copies themselves. And each time they make a new copy of themselves, they can acquire genetic mutations. And that genetic mutation can allow them to adapt to a new host, potentially. Not necessarily, but potentially. And so every time that happens, you have a risk that it's going to adapt to be very efficient at replicating in human hosts. So that's one concern with Nipah. Whether it's a significant concern or not is not clear, because people have probably been coming in contact with Nipah for a long time, although now with greater frequency with the things we talked about, deforestation and so forth. But there is that risk. The other thing to just be aware of that we haven't discussed so far is Nipah is one of a number of very related viruses. Hendra is another one, which also is in bats and infected people, horses, and then people in Australia, also a highly pathogenic virus. And then bats and also other animals like tree shrews harbor other viruses that look a lot like Nipah virus. And so there's also the concern that, okay, maybe Nipah isn't going to evolve to be a significant concern in humans, but maybe one of these other viruses that looks a lot like Nipah, maybe one of those would. So you just don't know what the future is going to be.